know what you are? I'm a superhero.
Hey everybody, it's Zach. Welcome back to the Heroverse. And guys, this will be kind of like my spoiler talk and my initial thoughts of the series Ms. Marvel. As we all know, we just got our season finale today of Ms. Marvel, episode 6 called No Problems. But, or No Problem. So I was in the mood, to actually, I did give my initial thoughts, like little community tab, spoiler reviews on my community tab for the first couple of episodes. Then that kind of fell off because I was kind of I'm not really enjoying the show as much. But I started doing it for a while, even though I wasn't enjoying episodes. I was doing it for a little bit, but then I kind of fell off because I just really wasn't enjoying it. And initially when I first saw the trailers for this show, even before I saw the trailers for the show, I was super excited. I was so excited to finally get Ms. Marvel in live action, especially in the MCU, especially off of, what, they did in the Avengers game with Ms. Marvel. I was I'm really excited because that was actually the highlight of the Avengers game, was having Kamala Khan in the Avengers game. That was a really highlight of that game, even though I really despised that game. That was the highlight of that game, is having Ms. Marvel. And I was I'm so excited to get, MCU's Ms. Marvel in here, especially when I knew Iman Vellani was doing it. I thought that was great casting for the for a portrayal of Ms. Marvel. I thought Iman Vellani would kill it, especially how much knowledge she has about the MCU. I love that. Especially it shows that is just as much as a fan of the MCU as all of us. Especially she literally dressed up as Ms. Marvel, and that's what she always, that's what, I guess that was one of her favorite characters, if not her favorite character, was Ms. Marvel. And the fact that she, is a Marvel fan and got to actually play Ms. Marvel, got to play Kamala Khan in the MCU, that's just amazing. That's what I hope to do, in my lifetime, is actually play a character that I really love in the MCU. I would probably cry if I, as a Marvel fan, got to play a character that I really loved. I would flip out. So I can only imagine how she felt having her love for the MCU and got to play the character that she dressed up as when for one day for Halloween, or 1 year for Halloween. So already when I saw the first trailer for Ms. Marvel, I was I don't know how I feel about it. It really wasn't what I expected. I loved the song choice, Blinded by the Lights, but I was just not, I wasn't I was a little shocked when I saw the first trailer. I was what, this kind of looks as bad as it sounds, kind of looks like a Disney movie. I was I was oh my god, this is so different. I was kind of damn, I don't know if I like this. Especially since, we saw the one scene in the trailer where we do now know it was, Kamran, but we saw, a dude at the poolside, which is Kamran, and, we saw hearts around, Kamala. I was oh no, this is your typical, girl likes a boy, it's your typical story, from a girl likes a boy, and along with, her getting her powers and stuff like this. I was a little worried about that. I was okay, I've seen this before, of course, at least that's what I thought when I was, watching the trailer. I was I don't know if this is really right up my alley, but I was, I was still, fine with the fact of, okay, I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to see how they do this. And, when I first got, when we first got the first episode of Ms. Marvel, it totally blew me away. I was oh my god, this really wasn't, the trailers really didn't do this show justice. I actually am really liking this show. Kamala was really relatable. Her, the opening sequence of the show was her being a YouTuber, posting one of her YouTube videos talking about her superheroes that we all love, talking about Marvel heroes. And I was I'm absolutely loving this right now. And especially, I resonated a lot with Kamala because she's a YouTuber. I'm a YouTuber. She loves heroes. I love heroes. I was really relating to Kamala, and I was really happy that, I was I'm really happy that I'm enjoying this. But the trailers really didn't do the show justice. And a lot of people can, say the same thing I'm saying, is that the trailers really didn't do it for us. For a lot of people, the trailers just weren't that good until we got the first episode of Ms. Marvel. I loved it. I thought it was very colorful. I thought it was very unique. I thought it was very, fun. I thought it was very, stylized, especially with looking like, the stylization of Scott Pilgrim, which I'm a big fan of Scott Pilgrim. For anybody that's new to here to the channel, or for anybody that's, watching this video, I'm a huge fan of Scott Pilgrim. I love that movie. I love how it's stylized. And this really was a shock to me. I mean, I knew that from the trailers, but the way that they did it in the show didn't do the trailers justice, because like it looked amazing in the show. It's like, oh my god, I'm just loving this right now, especially when she was getting kind of having to deal with a bully around school, which is Zoe, which essentially like the vibes I got from the trailer, I was like, okay, your typical bully. I was like, okay, so I was like, okay, like, but when we saw it in the show, I was like, we didn't really see her really essentially bullying Kamala like we did see in the trailer when we saw the devil horns, which we never saw actually in the show. So I'm assuming like a lot of stuff got cut from the show. But when we meet Zoe, I was like, I don't know if she's really a bully until we end up seeing Zoe. I think, if I'm correct, I think it might have been in the second episode where Bruno and Kamala go to Avengers Con and they end up running into Zoe in the classic Captain Marvel outfit. And we end up finding that she is just as much as a nerd as Kamala is. And we kind of have a sense of like, oh my god, she really isn't a bully, clearly, from what we're trying to gather here. Except we know that she's a popular girl and she hasn't really talked to Kamala, but really she's not as much as a bully as what the trailers were kind of like showing her out to be. Which kind of annoys me that, the trailers said it that way, but we never got to see that scene in the show, or even see her really get to be a bully in the show as much as they were trying to portray in the trailers. Which, I mean, I was okay with the fact that she wasn't really a bully. But, she, of course, was that typical popular girl that was, saying that she got saved by, Nightlight. She gave, Kamala's, hero name Nightlight, because as of right now, Kamala, in the show wasn't, she didn't get her Miss Marvel name. She doesn't get it until the final episode, which we got today. So that one sequence where Zoe meets like another person that's dressed up like Captain Marvel and really doesn't know that, again, it is Kamala. That was just a really unique sequence to see someone that we think is just a popular girl that wouldn't ever talk to Kamala, but yet seeing another side of Zoe where like they actually do have a lot a common, Kamala and Zoe. So that was really cool. But that one moment where literally Zoe got hit by the Thor hammer, Bro should have been gone. Like, that was like the way they filmed that shot. I was like, that Thor hammer, that Mjolnir had some weight to it. I'm absolutely, and then not only that, but she got hit. But she was on that thing for a while and then got smacked up against the wall and then fell. But of course, Kamala was able to save Zoe before she fell to the ground. And essentially, like, Zoe is the one that named, Kamala this masked hero, Nightlight, which again, Kamala wasn't for it. But I do love how they got the whole, Nightlight name out there before she gets her official name, which I thought was very funny. It's very reminiscent of like how in Spider-Man Far From Home, we, when Peter is in, I forget where, he is, and he's like, has to like make sure that no one knows that like is onto the fact of, oh, Spider-Man, Peter shows up here in DC, and then Spider-Man shows up, oh, Peter shows up here, and then Spider-Man shows up. So he had to be like, oh, I can't dress like Spider-Man here, or they'll know that one of us in the class is Spider-Man. So and then comes the whole Night Monkey thing when he gets the shield outfit and stuff, and then Night Monkey happens by Betty Brant calling him Night Monkey and everything like that. And it kind of makes a new persona for Peter, like Night Monkey. So I was kind of reminiscent of that. I thought that was very funny. But initially in this series, like, and I really enjoyed the second episode because that's again where we kind of have an understanding of where Kamala is with Bruno, trying to figure out her abilities, and Bruno's like, the power isn't coming from the bangle, it's coming within you. It's like the bangle unlocked the power within you. And right away, I came up with my theory, which, got confirmed today in today's episode. At the end of today's episode, where it was the 1 week later, where it's, Bruno saying goodbye to Kamala and saying goodbye to Nakia, and he's going off to, I forget where he's going off to, but he's going off to, like, he's going off to a college, I guess, like an early college, thing. I forget what it's called. I forget what it is. But he's going off to college, I guess, as like a level, like test run, I guess. I think he's going to MIT. He's going somewhere for tech and stuff. So, we get the moment where like he's like, we had it all wrong. I looked over your genes again, and they're actually something that's mutated in you. And I was like, that's my theory was correct about the mutants. I was like, oh my god. And when we hear them play the da-na-na-na-na-na, so I was like, the old X-Men cartoon theme, I was like, oh my god, I was actually correct, because I made the theory saying that Kamala, they're not going to go with the Inhuman gene. They're not going to do that about the Terrigen Mist and her being an Inhuman. It's going to be the mutant gene. I was like, they're going to make her a mutant. And that's exactly what ended up happening, which I literally, like, my reaction is up on my TikTok. It's up on my YouTube right now. I flipped out. I literally could not process that my theory was correct. My other theory is that Captain Marvel would show up, which we'll talk about that in a minute at the end of this, because we really saw the building up to Carol Danvers showing up in this series, and my theory was it was going to be, of course, in the finale. Of course, that's when all the big things really happen, is in the finale, usually of a Marvel movie, like at the end credit, or it usually is like, like in the last episode of the show, something big happens. So, and we really saw that building up with, Kamala's mother saying, you need to get your head out of the stars. You need to focus on your schoolwork and everything. And, you need to stop looking up to this space hero. I was like, of course, they're really building up to Carol Danvers showing up and her meeting her hero. And, I enjoyed that. But anything past the first 2 episodes, it lost me. It was a total tonal change, in my personal opinion. Again, this is just my opinion, guys. If you really enjoyed this series, that's amazing. But it was a complete tonal change. And that's when I really was like, I am not liking the show. I feel like it kind of like went from this fun, stylistic, coming of age story, and it's kind of like it totally changed where I feel like they were trying to go in the first 2 episodes. But even though I wasn't, I wasn't like, really having an understanding of really where they were going with the show, I feel like they kind of like didn't really know where they were going on anything past the first 2 episodes. I felt like I just was very confused on really who the villain was too, because at the end of the second episode, I think if I'm correct, we get the intro to Damage Control, and we end up getting the one dude from Spider-Man No Way Home, which I forget his name, that was interrogating Peter. We end up getting him, of course, I think he's the one that's in charge of Damage Control, along with his partner, which his partner was super annoying. I just anytime the partner came on screen, I was like, oh my god, I'm super annoyed. I see the disrespect here. I was like, I'm not down with this. I just was not liking what they were doing. If anything, I didn't even expect the partner to be that way. I expected the main dude that's in charge of Damage Control, that is the one that interrogated Peter, to be the kind of like the villain. Especially the way they set it up at the end credit, where it's like, oh, maybe we need to go look for this. We need to go look for her. So look for this individual. I was like, okay, he's that villain. He didn't give Peter a break. He's not going to give anybody a break. He's going to be the villain of the series. Am I correct? Damage Control. But it ended up being the partner, and I was like, oh my god. And it ended up being in this finale episode, where it was the dude telling the partner, hey, you can't be doing this. Fall back. I don't want us, being painted out as the villain, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want us getting in trouble, like, don't do this. And, and then the colleague didn't listen. The girl didn't listen, which, again, I don't remember their names, but his colleague didn't listen, and, against, his wishes, and ended up, sending in Damage Control into the school in the finale episode, which was, again, today. So, I was shocked by that. And also, when we get to the point where, we get, introduced to Kamran, we kind of have an understanding of like, oh my god, that's going to be her love interest, even though we have Bruno here, and we can tell that Bruno likes Kamala, which I was totally here for. I like the whole Bruno and Kamala thing, even though I don't know if that happens in the comic books or not. Again, I don't really read the comic books, but I was really okay with Bruno being the love interest to Kamala. But then we get Kamran, and we end up finding that Kamran does like Kamala, but that's not why he wanted to get close to Kamala. It was the fact of Kamran's mother and the other clandestines trying to get back home through the bangle, and pretty much trying to use Kamala for the bangle so they could get home, even though it would have been dangerous for Kamala to use the bangle to get them back home. And because there would have been mass casualties, I guess because of the energy of, Kamala opening up the bangle so they could get back home. And we end up finding out, through the story, that the clandestines to save their world, their world needs to absorb our world, and it's the mass destruction of our world if she opens up this portal to the other clandestines. Even though Kamran isn't for it, Kamran's mother is for it, and that ends up making a rift. Which I was really shocked. The thing I really hated about this series is that we really didn't know who the villain was. I kept going back on. Oh my god, is it Damage Control? Is the clandestines? I'm so confused because at first the clandestines I thought just wanted to get back home before we ended up finding out they actually wanted to destroy our world to save their world. I was like, okay, I kind of understand. Okay, Damage Control is the villains. I'm still assuming, and but then we end up having an understanding where where Bruno does tell Kamala we have to really think this through. And you know what I mean? Like before we make a decision that could actually, destroy our world by us opening up a door so they can get home. And she tells Kamran, okay, we're gonna have to take a beat for a second so that way I can figure out a safe way for you guys to get home so I don't destroy my world and destroy Earth. And he's like, I understand that. I'll tell my mother. And at this point, Kamala is at her brother's wedding. And at this point, Kamran does tell Kamran does tell his mother, like, oh, Kamala wants us to wait for a minute so that way there's a safe way for her to get us back home. And of course, Kamran's mother isn't for it, saying and pretty much saying no, like we're done waiting, we've been waiting forever, we're gonna do this. And pretty much that's when Kamran realizes, oh, like you knew that it was going to destroy our world if she got us back home. And of course, Kamran's mother's like, yeah, I did know, and it doesn't matter, we got to get home. And that whole sequence, when Kamran runs in to the wedding and disrupts the wedding and disrupts Bruno and Kamala about to have their dance, and for Bruno to really tell, I think at that moment he was going to really tell Kamala probably how he felt. Kamran really ruined that moment. Kamran's mother and the other clandestines ruined the wedding. But Damage Control came in there and ended up taking Kamran and the other clandestines to, the Damage Control facility where we end up knowing through, Shang-Chi is where, Abomination's at. So, and also from the trailer of She-Hulk where Jennifer Walters goes to I'm assuming to deal with some sort of case with Abomination. Because in the one trailer of She-Hulk, we see Jennifer Walters talking to Emil Blonsky's Abomination, but just talking to Emil Blonsky's not in the form of Abomination. So we know that they're really trying to set up Damage Control of having all these superpowered beings and everything, and the way the Kamran and the clandestines all escape the Damage Control guards. I thought that was ridiculous. I thought really this is the place that is able to hold Abomination, but yet they were able to get out of here so easily. I was like, I don't know how I like that. I really would have preferred if it was just the Damage Control as the villains instead of the clandestines. But I showed up the fact Daggers Club, which we ended up finding a new character, which I think is a love interest to Kamala in the comics. I don't remember his name. But we ended up getting introduced to that kid. I think he is a love interest to Kamala. I think the actual one in the comics. There was just a lot of too many love interest things going on. I was very confused on what was comic accurate and what wasn't, and who Kamala was going to go for in the story. But I feel like we kind of have an understanding by the way that this ended. I think it ended in the way where she doesn't end up with either Bruno or the one other kid or Kamran. So I was like, okay. I was like, so why did we just jumble around the series and trying to figure out really who our love interest was going to be? I felt like it was just very confusing with that as well, along with who the villain was, either the clandestines or Damage Control. Even though I would have preferred if it was Damage Control and we didn't go the whole clandestines being a villain, the one to take over, because I feel like there was just too much going on. I feel like if you wanted to you should have had one or the other in a way. But I understand that way they were trying to go with this because they wanted to set up the mutants and stuff, and set up the everybody being the Damage Control being scared of just anybody getting abilities. So they had to set up that, what happens if kids get abilities, or just people just get abilities out of nowhere. And it starts up, of course, the people going against mutants and stuff. I feel like I know what they were trying to set up there. It just felt like there was a lot going on with, again, with Damage Control and the clandestines and which one was the villain. I even asked my bro Jamie, did you have an understanding of really who the villain was? He's like, no, not really. I was really having trouble to really I have an understanding of who the villain was. If it was Damage Control, or if it was the clandestines, or if also I had trouble feeling also having trouble feeling a connection to us going to Pakistan and us going and meeting Kamala's relatives and stuff and everything. I had trouble really like having like a grasp on like, you know, like on those episodes. I just wasn't really like, I didn't find, you know, like something to really care about in those episodes. You know what I mean? I don't know, especially also with Kamala's, you know, parents being very overprotective, and then the moment where, you know, Kamala's mother ends up finding out that she has powers, she's okay with it. I felt like, why did you set up these first couple of episodes of her like really being overprotected of Kamala, but yet like, you know, she is okay with the fact that she has powers? It kind of like undermines all the overprotectiveness that she did for Kamala. So I was like, I don't know, guys. Like, it was very like all over the place a little bit. And again, I feel like it really came back to like what the first two episodes were in this finale, with us getting, you know, Zoe back, and us getting, you know, Bruno back, and us getting Nakia back. Because I mean, we spent the last couple of episodes, I think after the third episode, we spent like 2 more episodes without Nakia, without Bruno. And I was just like, and also without Zoe, like the characters that we started with, we didn't see again. And it kind of felt like the show kind of lost its way past the episodes where we lost those characters. Especially when we come back around to this episode, we're supposed to care about these characters when we get back to them in the finale, when she comes back from Pakistan. And, you know, she is talking to her family, letting them know about, you know, her powers, even though her mother already knows about, you know, her having the abilities and her being Nightlight. And it's kind of like they all knew, because I guess, you know, Kamala's mother told her father, and then of course, you know, her brother and his new wife, like, you know, I guess were eavesdropping on the fact that her father had his phone on speaker, which my dad does, so I thought that was funny. There was a lot of funny moments where, like, you know, like her father kept leaving speaker on, and my dad does that all the time, where like he butt dials people and like puts speaker on, and people can hear what he's saying and stuff. And I feel like that's just like, it's a father thing, where like fathers do that all the time. Let me know if your dad does that, like, because my dad does that all the time, and I find it very funny. So I thought that was very funny, along with the moment where, like, you know, he's like, oh, like the brother made the joke to Kamala about like, oh, so did you mean to drop that one kid, or like was that a test run or something? I just thought that was very funny. Where he said, did you mean to do that or whatever? So I thought that was very funny when he made that joke. I was like really laughing. Again, especially when it goes back around to the one beautiful moment in this episode in the series, where it's like, you know, Kamala's mother ends up giving Kamala her you know, costume, her official costume. I thought that was a really nice moment, especially it goes back, but I was also thinking to myself, that was really awfully quick. She was able to make that outfit, especially when they were just in Pakistan and now they came back. That was very quick. She was able to make the outfit. When was she able to do that? But like, it goes back to when Bruno said to Kamala's mother, how are you able to package up all this food so quickly? And she's like, you know, Bruno, you have your sciencey ways and I have my ways. And I was like, okay, that goes back to it. On top of her making the costume for, you know, her husband, I was like, okay, like the Hulk costume, I was like, that makes sense. She's able to make things very quickly. So I was like, okay, I don't have that, because that was really good storytelling on the fact to put those things in there, so we don't question how was she able to make Kamala's costume so fast. So I thought that was really cool that they kind of have an excuse for that, because they put that in the story, that she's just Kamala's mother is just really handy with doing things really quickly. So I was like, okay, I like that, how they put that in there. And again, like I said, I really love the characters. I love Nakia. I thought she was a really, really cool character, especially how, like, I just love her and Kamala's, like, you know, like how they talk to one another, and like, and just how they work together. I just love it. Along with Bruno and Kamala, I love it. I love Bruno and how good he is at making, you know, how good he is at making stuff, like whether it's cosplays or sciencey things. I just thought he was a really cool friend to have. Especially like the kid that plays Bruno was in the running to play Peter Parker, and I believe it, because literally he looks awfully a lot like Tom Holland. He looks a lot like Tom Holland, so and he really sounds a lot like Tom Holland as well. So I believe that, you know, he was almost runner up to play Spider-Man. I believe it. I really like him at Bruno. I really love the character, along with the brother. I thought he was very funny and really cool. I really do love the father and the mother of the show. I really did enjoy the way they would talk to Kamala, and the way they and the advice they would give to Kamala. I just really enjoyed it. Especially, it made sense how overprotective they were, but I was very confused when that she just kind of backtracked on the fact of that, she was okay with Kamala having powers, and the whole family was. And especially, like, you could have saved yourself a lot of, trouble that you felt like you were causing your parents if you would have just told them about your abilities, because clearly they were okay with you having abilities. So I felt like, the show kind of like kept backtracking with a lot of the characters and a lot of things that they were doing. And also kept giving us moments where giving us moments where we would be saying, if you would have just told them, everything would have been okay and all this could have been avoided. You know what I mean? I feel like the show did that a lot, and it could be very confusing at times on who the villain was, who the love interest was. And again, I really do felt like we came back to how the show initially started in tone and how it was of the vibes of the show, the first 2 episodes in this finale, because we start off running where, they get back from Pakistan, she ends up telling her family about her powers, she ends up getting her costume from her mother, and then she ends up getting the call from, Nakia about Bruno and Bruno's place getting blown up. And, we have Bruno and we have Kamran pretty much running from the Department of Damage Control, and pretty much, Kamala is trying to catch up to them, while, Damage Control is pretty much closing off the city and closing off all the blocks, trying to catch up to Kamran and catch up to Bruno. But they don't know Bruno's name. I think they just think that someone's helping out this kid that has these abilities. But they're after them regardless. And I just love the moment where literally Kamala is running through the city on her light pads. And she is trying to scour the city looking for Bruno and Kamran. I really did enjoy that, and it felt a lot like what I've seen, in the Avengers games of how Kamala does when she has her abilities, and also from what I've seen in some of the comics and stuff, and also what I've seen in the kids Spidey and His Amazing Friends show with Miss Marvel. I really felt at this point she is Miss Marvel, and I loved that. And, she really doesn't get, again, her title of her name until the end of the episode, which was another very touching moment, where it's with, her and her father, and after, she ends up, everything is all settled down, and she gets to go home, and, we get that touching moment between, Kamala and her father, where, Kamala's father is saying, do you understand why we gave you the name Kamala and what it stands for? It means Marvel, and we thought you were perfect. And, there was a really nice moment where, like, Kamala's like, you gave me the same name as Captain Marvel and stuff. I thought that was a very awesome moment, and I just loved that moment. I thought it was a very touching moment, and I really loved. But I also thought it was goofy, where Kamala setting up the plan with Kamran and Bruno and Nakia, and also Kamala's brother, when they're all in the school, and also Zoe's there. I don't know how Zoe was even there because school was closed. I don't know how she got into the school when it was closed. But then again, I'm wondering how Bruno and and Kamran and Kamala even got into the school. I guess the school's just open, which I thought was kind of weird. That I really would have I really would have liked it a lot more if they just broke into the school instead of just got into the school, and it was just so happened to be unlocked. But Zoe was there, and Zoe ended up finding out that, Kamala was Nightlight, and I guess in a way she kind of always knew, because when she came in, she wasn't, surprised that Kamala was Nightlight. I guess she always knew that, which again, I feel like, I really wish they would have showed that, because I feel like it's I don't know how I'm just supposed to believe that she knew that kind of in a way that she was Nightlight. But I thought it was very funny when she's breaking down the plan, and then when she cuts away from the plan, we have Kamala's brother just standing there, and she's like, "How did you get in here?" And he's like, "You forget I used to go to school here, and I know the bathroom windows are unlocked." I'm like, I was like, okay, I guess. And then she's going on with the plan and stuff, and it was a very Home Alone-ish plan where literally Damage Control ends up coming in there, and they end up literally using foam from the science room, and end up using a speaker, kind of like an Alexa speaker, but their own version of Alexa. And and they end up making these little traps for Damage Control, and they end up getting all in the same hoodie as Kamran and same hat, and they end up running around the school and doing stuff. It made the Damage Control look like jokes, which makes me scared in the future when we do get Damage Control again, because we do know it's a big thing, and it's going to be a big thing, I think, for a while in the MCU. especially when it comes to like, the Thunderbolts and probably Young Avengers. I feel like it's going to be a big thing. I feel like it kind of undermines how threatening they are because of how much of jokes Kamala's team made the Damage Control like look, and making them look like Home Alone, bandits, and literally kicking the shit out of them by science experiments and softballs, and and just fire extinguishers, and just setting up a whole bunch of tables and chairs. It literally made Damage Control look like jokes. And that kind of worries me, again, for the future for Damage Control, by the way, how easy it was for them to make Damage Control look like jokes. But I enjoyed it. I did enjoy that moment where I was like, I am enjoying this. I think it's very funny that they're kicking the crap out of them with Home Alone. They're pulling the Home Alone, antics right now. I am enjoying this. I can't say I didn't enjoy it because I did. I just was like, oh, damn, you're really making them look like jokes right now. But I love the moment where it goes back to, again, the one moment I really loved is that Kamran and Bruno end up going to the mosque, and we end up running into Nakia. I love the moment where they're trying to hide them in there, and we have the Damage Control lady come in there and pretty much says, oh, pull out your cards, and they all have their cards out, and you really see how messed up that is. How they knew right away that they had to have their cards out because they knew that the Damage Control was going to come in there disrespectfully, again wearing their shoes again in the mosque, which that I even pointed out to my sister, the episode where Damage Control did come into the mosque and they are wearing shoes. I was like, they literally are being disrespectful. Do you see? I said the shoes, and you just saw the disrespect that this Damage Control lady has. That again, I'm not even sure that the one dude would have, because again, I'm really shocked how the switch around that they played with us, how we thought it was going to be the him, like the one dude that runs Damage Control, but it ends up being the partner. I was shocked about that. But literally, I like the moment where we end up getting Kamran and getting Bruno out of there, and his name is Sheikh Abdullah, if I'm saying that right. That runs the mosque. He says just because people treat you like their enemy doesn't mean that you treat them treat them as your enemy. And I really loved that, because that is foreshadowing the moment where they're running around the school and pretty much Kamran's had enough, and literally he starts fighting Damage Control, and Kamala has to fight him and has to protect other Damage Control, the Damage Control people in the school, because he's literally trying to hurt them, trying to get away from them essentially. And it just went back to, again, what Sheikh Abdullah said when he said, don't, just because people treat you like their enemy doesn't mean that you treat them doesn't mean you treat them like your enemy. So I really liked that a lot. I was kind of foreshadowing. He's doing the same thing. People are treating them like their enemy, but he's treating them like they're his enemy and stuff. So I really liked how it was a foreshadowing thing. And I kind of knew, when I was deciding, okay, who's the villain here, and we kind of have a sense of, we have all of the clandestines die except Kamran, and, Kamran has that weird mist that goes into him. I was very confused on that. I was like, okay, is that, a version of Terrigen Mist for him? I don't know. But since I know that they might not be going that route anymore, because we end up finding out that, again, Kamala is a mutant, I don't know, really. They really didn't explain how Kamran got those abilities and really what it was. If they want to say he's an Inhuman, cool, okay, that can roll with that. And then Kamala can be a mutant, that's fine as well. I don't know, but that one. But I was wondering, because I kept telling my bro Troy, I'm wondering who the villain is now, because the clandestines are dead, except Kamran. And we have Damage Control, but I'm not sure really here is the villain. Is it going to be Damage Control and it will be Kamran with that mist that went in him? He will become the villain. Essentially, he kind of did, with Damage Control. But, Kamala had to, make a dome around him, so that way, she could get him out of there. And also that way, so he couldn't hurt any more people. Because literally when he was, using his energy, he was essentially, about to hurt the civilians behind the gate that Damage Control put up. So that's why she had to put the barrier up, so that way she could also protect everybody out there, Damage Control and the civilians, but also protect Kamran, to also get Kamran some time to get away. So I was like, okay, you know what I mean? So I was like, I guess I guess in a way they were both essentially. There was really, I guess, in a way, no bad guys essentially, except I guess damage control, because the one girl didn't really listen to the one main guy in charge of damage control. So I guess in a way she was the villain, and I guess you could say also the clandestines were a villain at some point. I don't know. There really wasn't any specific villain, and that kind of really annoyed me. But I mean, again, I feel like I enjoyed this episode a lot more because I felt like it felt more tonally to the first two episodes that I really enjoyed. So that's why I really enjoyed this finale, even though there was some a little bit of problems. But I wasn't as annoyed about it as I was in the other episodes past episode 2. You know what I mean? It was really not feeling any connection and really not feeling any importance of anything that was really going on. And also, again, I don't know if there will be a season 2 of Miss Marvel. I think I would be more excited for season 2 of Miss Marvel once the Marvels comes out, especially since, the mutants are officially in the MCU, and we officially got the mutant name drop in the MCU, and officially Kamala is the first mutant. And also that end credit sequence with, Kamala getting that, seeing the energy around her bracelet, and then she gets kind of, sucked in, and then Carol Danvers pops out. It's I'm excited to see how the hell that happens. I know it's kind of I knew essentially what happened on the fact that they traded places. I'm just not quite sure why that happens. My theory was maybe that we saw the energy, so maybe, Carol was using her powers, and then that's why, they switched out. I'm assuming maybe that's maybe why. Also, there's some theories that say that Carol Danvers has one of the quantum bands, and that's why that happened. That could be a possibility as well, even though I didn't see her wear a quantum band unless she turned it into something else. I don't know. Or maybe they CGI'd it out because they want to save that storyline for the Marvels. I'm not quite sure. I'm just excited to see where this is going, since we have the mutant name drop and we know Kamala is a mutant. I know my theory was correct, which I still can't process that my theory was correct. It's just amazing to me I got that theory right. And literally my video, if you guys want proof about me having that theory, I literally made that video in episode 2 when, Kamala and Bruno were trying to figure out her abilities. I made that theory video when the episode 2 drops. I put it up also on my TikTok, so, go follow my TikTok, go follow my Instagram, go follow, of course, subscribe here, because I would love to have you guys here, part of the family, part of the channel. But yeah, guys, literally, I'm super excited for the Marvels and to see where everything could go, especially after, that end credit with Carol and Kamala switching out. I'm excited to see what that means. I'm excited to see where the future of Miss Marvel goes. I'm excited to see, how this will all go with the X-Men. How will the X-Men, be the X-Men? How are they going to bring in the X-Men? I understand we have the mutants and they played that. So I'm just wondering how the X-Men will come to be. Well, I think over time we will eventually run into a Scott Summers. I think eventually we will run into a Storm and everything. I think eventually we will run into them as more mutant genes get unlocked. I think we will see that, and that was also a part of my theory too, saying I think that Kamala isn't going to be I think besides Kamala, we're going to see a lot more stories of people just unlocking abilities, and that and then we'll eventually get the name of the mutant gene. So I feel like eventually Kamala was the start of it, but I'm excited to see it progress in the MCU, and just we see stories of people just getting these abilities and unlocking these abilities, and we will get hopefully our Charles Xavier and everything. I'm excited. I'm stoked, guys. I'm just excited to see where the future of Miss Marvel goes. I'm excited to see how the mutants tie in. I'm stoked and excited. And again, like I said, this isn't my favorite Disney Plus series. I think I would rank this probably like at the bottom of all the Disney Plus series. I think all the other Disney Plus series I think are better than this series. And again, that's just my personal opinion. And again, if you like the series and you guys put this as your number one, I'm happy for you. That's great. I'm glad that you like the series. It just wasn't really my cup of tea because I felt like it was really all over the place, and I felt like it started out strong, but then I kind of didn't know what it wanted to do and what it wanted to be. But it really pulled through in the finale. I do think that. So, a good start and a good strong ending, but it really didn't really work in the 3 episodes in the middle. Again, I think it possibly could have worked if we got more episodes. I do think that this is this series is the definition of Disney Plus's 6-episode issue. And other people brought it up with other Disney Plus, series that, the 6-episode method was the fall of a series, whether it be Marvel or in the Star Wars stuff. To be honest, I feel like I didn't really feel it until this series came out about, I understand what people were talking about the 6-episode problem, because I really felt it in this series. But again, it could have worked if maybe they went with different directors. Maybe I wouldn't be saying that it's the definition of the 6-episode problem with Disney Plus. But again, I'm never gonna know that because it's already happened. But if we get a season 2, hopefully it will be better. I hope. But yeah, guys, honestly, I'm excited to see where we're going to be going in the MCU with Ms. Marvel and the mutants, and see where we're going to be going in the Marvels. I'm curious to know down in the comments below, what did you guys think about the Ms. Marvel series? Did you like it? Do you guys have an understanding of what I'm trying to say? Also, again, I want to know if you liked it. I want to know if you didn't like it. I want to know who was your favorite character in Ms. Marvel. I want to know, do you guys think the series stuck the landing in the last episode that dropped today? Are you excited for the Marvels? Let me know. Also, how do you guys feel about the mutants officially being in the MCU? Let me know. Also, did you guys have the theory about Kamala not being an Inhuman and Kamala being a mutant? Did you guys have that theory? I really want to know, because I had that theory, and I'm riding the wave of me being right. I'm just so happy right now because so many people thought I was crazy on that theory. So I'm so happy right now. But yeah, guys, again, that was the video. Again, here, if you're new to the channel, subscribe to the channel, put notifications, like this video. I'd love to have you guys here, a part of the fam, a part of the channel. We're all about spreading love, positivity, and motivation. And guys, we are almost to 600 subscribers. So yet again, I would really appreciate it, guys, if you subscribe to the channel, put notifications, like this video, because I'm trying to get to my goal to hit 600. Right now, I'm at 4. I think I can't remember. I think it's like 440 something. I honestly can't remember. I know that we're growing this family each and every day. I think, if I'm correct, yeah, we're at 542. We are so close to 600 subscribers. So yet again, I would really appreciate it, guys, again, if you guys subscribe to the channel, post notifications, and like this video. Also, we have a lot of stuff coming up in the next couple of weeks, in the next couple of months. We have some Comic-Con stuff coming up. We have D23 coming up sometime soon, and also we have San Diego Comic-Con coming up sometime soon as well. And I would like to live stream for that, for those things, because I heard we're going to be, especially since they dropped the mutants now officially in the MCU at the end of this episode of Ms. Marvel. I think there's a chance we could get some sort of confirmation for the X-Men in the next cons to come, whether it be San Diego or whether it be a D23. So again, there's big things coming here to the channel. So again, subscribe to the channel, put those notifications, and like this video if you guys don't want to miss anything. But yeah, guys, that was the video. I hope everybody has a great day, a safe day, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.